Is anybody a natural runner? We hear this term all the time. He's a natural runner. He's natural. Look at him go. Very natural movements. Well, can it really be natural? What do we mean by natural? It typically implies somebody who's already born with this ability to run well. That he has everything that, look at his great running, is due to his genetics, the way he was born. Well, nobody is born with this ability. The only thing you're born with are certain genetic traits, but everything else has to be trained. You must work to develop any kind of a particular running pattern. A running pattern doesn't just happen. And I hear too many people or coaches or people just saying, all you have to do is run and you will find out the best technique for yourself. Well, you can in terms of economy. Your body will adjust to it. So now you're expending the least amount of energy. But does this make you the best runner? Far from it. A sprinter doesn't care one iota about energy expenditure. He's going to burn it all up. The long distance runner is more concerned with energy expenditure. But even there, he has to be concerned with speed. You could have the most efficient running stride in the world. You're hardly using any energy. But it took you 5 hours to do the marathon. So if that's what you want, great. But when we think in terms of what is needed, then we have to go a little bit further. We have to develop this ability to run not only economically, but also more biomechanically efficiently or effectively. The more effective your biomechanics, and let's use technique instead of biomechanics. Biomechanics is sometimes a bad word that sets people off. So we don't want to set you off here. Let's take a look at your technique, or your form. How you run becomes critical. Because once you develop a good running pattern, or good running form, you will be using the muscles in the most effective way, which will create the least amount of energy expenditure. You will no longer be using muscles that are not involved in your running. This is the key. Instead of using a lot of extraneous muscles that sap your energy, you won't be doing this anymore. So effective technique means really learning how to run most effectively, both economically and biomechanically. So you're getting the most out of every movement. You're getting your maximum stride length. You're getting your maximum stride frequency. And you're getting your maximum oxygen consumption. Your respiratory system is at its maximum ability. Trying to find a word there, it didn't make sense. So these are the keys then. Don't think in terms of somebody being natural. When you see somebody who looks like he's a natural runner, it really means this person has worked hard and for many years, sometimes it's less, to develop this pattern that he has. Now he looks like a natural runner. But it comes from years of running and training. We can look at many of the Kenyans, for example. Well, they run ever since they're, yay-high to a grasshopper. But they run and run. Every place they go, they're running. So over the years, they develop this particular pattern. Not all of them become world-class, though. Yet they may look very natural. So there's where we get into some of the genetic capabilities. The genetics really set the scene in terms of how much and how far you can go. What are you really capable of? These are your limits that are set genetically. This is why some of us will never be world champions. We don't have the genetics for it. But others will be. But yet, 99% of us can still do very, very well. And even those who don't have the genetics, you can train and develop what you do have. And in many cases, make it equal to what the person who is genetically gifted has. So you become capable of training alongside him or even beating him in the race. But it takes especially smart training. Simply more training is not going to cut it. You have to work on that technique. That's number one. Once you get the technique down, then everything else will flow into place. You'll be able to get more aerobic development, more anaerobic development, more of everything, more speed, more quickness. But first you have to get the technique. That becomes the key. And for this, without going into too much detail on the technique, I recommend you take a look at the book Explosive Running, second edition. Has more pictures of more different runners showing the technique of running with explanations of each runner and exactly what they're doing, why they're doing it, how they're doing it, is it effective, is it not effective. It goes into all of the rationale behind it. So when you get done reading it, you will have a great understanding of what effective technique is. And then you'll be able to make the changes. There are many hints given on how you can make the changes to enable you to develop good technique or form and become a much better runner. That's the bottom line.